Cultural Studies Theory. In this lesson, I would like to highlight about the role of visual imagery in cultural studies without compromising the ideas in cultural studies. Cultural studies theorists understand that many meanings can be made from a single scene because viewers observe and interpret image and supporting dialogue through the lens of their own cultural experience. A cultural studies analyst focuses on both the visual image and the verbal discourse, for they may converge into meaning or perhaps incite observers to pursue contradictory meanings if the image and the discourse are at odds with one another. In visual model such as film, television and advertising, the visual communication is likely to be prominent and central in provoking viewer meaning. Nevertheless, the verbal communication is usually inherent in the medium and likewise subject to interpretation of meaning. In this lesson, I will construct the content based on the views of visual communication scholars O. Dennell. To inform the learner of visual communication that a visual may convey a single meaning or may convey many meanings. To enlighten the student that a visual image or imagery may convey similar meanings to the audience or viewers or contradictory meanings. To educate the student that the meaning negotiated of an image is a matter between the viewer and the viewed. One collection of readings in cultural studies that isolates the visual is Visual Culture, edited by Jessica Evans and Stuart Hall, who remind us that the meaning of an image, whether in a photograph or a painting or a drawing, a film, on a television or a computer scene, is not the visual sign itself as self-sufficient entity, nor exclusively in the sociological positions and identities of the audience, but in the articulation between viewer and the viewed, between power of the image to signify and the viewer's capacity to interpret meaning. According to O. Dennell, the presence of a viewer as is necessary other and whose conduct an image provokes makes meaning possible. The spectator, the image and the meaning are not in relationship of cause and effect. Rather, the relationship is a complex one in which various elements interact and lead to an outcome that is dependent on one's culture and the cultural practices of looking and seeing. Consequently, the possibility of multiple meanings, polysemy, exists depending on the interpretations of various spectators who bring their own subjectivities to the image and take up various positions of identification in relation to its meaning. Furthermore, whatever meaning is derived is not necessarily fixed or stable across the time. It is also important that multiple meanings of various subjects not be reduced to a common mean or a median. For the recognition and the understanding of the encoding and the individual decoding of representation is at the heart of cultural studies. Culture and cultural studies. Cultural studies theory and methodology are not monolithic. Cultural studies have genealogical connection with several academic areas of study including anthropology, literary criticism, social history, semiotics, political economics, psychoanalysis and feminist criticism. It has included many theoretical pathways and crosscuts, some of them in contention. The theories of Karl Marx, Antonio Gramsci, Louis Althusser, Michael Foucault, Roland Barthes, Jacques Derrida, Raymond Williams, Stuart Hall, Lawrence Grossberg and others have constituted foundations for the derivation of cultural studies. Furthermore, cultural studies practitioners have responded to changing historical and political conditions. The emergence of social movements in the 1960s and 1970s and subsequent changes in legal and social conditions related to equality for blacks, women, ethnic groups and gays also changed the nature of academic inquiry into literature and popular culture. Consequently, there are many ways to conduct a cultural study. It is not the purpose of this chapter to chronicle the history and various theories behind cultural studies, but rather this chapter offered selected theories from some of the most influential figures in contemporary cultural studies that can be measured in order to set forth a clear and workable method for conducting an analysis. Although it is impossible to separate cultural theoretical inquiry into written discourses and visual image, this chapter attempts to focus on the visual image by emphasizing cultural theoretical concerns with the image representation and viewer response. The notion of culture, of course, is inherent in most intellectual endeavors, but it can be a confusing term. Culture is sometimes thought of as high and low, or in other words, allied culture such as art, classical music, literature, theatre and the like, and popular cultures such as film, television, popular music, cartoons, magazines, computer games and so on. Culture is also anthropologist's study to learn the folkways of various human societies. Culture is defined as the real actual practices and customs, languages, beliefs, forms of representation and system of formal and informal rules that tell people how to behave most of the time. Culture produces shared social meanings. We make sense of the world. Our social practices can in turn alter the culture by creating new meanings to be shared. James Carey, an important writer on communication and culture, pointed out culture as a system of construed meanings changes in relation to other cultural objects such as technological and economic practices or other social processes such as conflict and accommodation. Such changes are transformations on a given cultural tradition, a tradition that includes reasserting itself. British Cultural Studies. Cultural studies, as we have concerned, it grew out of the British Cultural Studies movement primarily from the vision of Raymond Williams, a fellow at Jesus College, Cambridge, who wrote in 1961, there was no academic subject that allowed him to ask the question concerning how culture and society, democracy and the individual voice interrelate. In a 1958 essay, Culture is Ordinary, Williams emphasized that culture concerns everyone. Culture is not just Shakespeare's or Beethoven. Rather, it is the symbolic life of people, and for Williams, it was especially the customs of working class life. Williams went beyond an elitist definition of culture as high culture, and he was aware of the anthropological definition of culture, but he wanted to develop a way to analyze works of high or popular culture from a new perspective as specific works and as an ongoing life process. He asked questions such as, how does a work or any work relate to the shared living conditions of the time? What meanings does a work have when it is absorbed into the lives of its audience? For Williams, cultural studies filled a gap as a distinctive approach to culture that values each person's voice and reflections. Although he concerned himself with local practice, especially in Welsh working class community, his notion of community space where each person has the right to be heard is a basic tenet of cultural studies. Writing in 2000, Nick Cowdery claimed that actual culture as practiced is still a concentration, not dispersal of voices that prevents us from speaking directly in our own voice because we are represented by others. He said that speech and image are closed and commodified, that is a marketing commodity. He advocated complete openness of representation. This is why he says that culture is a paradoxical term, a paradox that each of us as individuals may feel. Perhaps the most influential and prominent British cultural studies scholar, Stuart Hall's work has made an international impact. He began his work at the Centre for Contemporary Cultural Studies at the University of Birmingham and continued at the Open University in Milton Keynes. Hall's theories include the study of both discourse and images. Hall theorized two main premises: A. Images are ways associated with power, and B. Images have different meanings or no meaning at all. There is no guarantee that viewers will interpret the image in the way that they are intended. The second premise is the basis for Hall's famous model of encoding and decoding meanings, which is explained in a later section of this lesson. That images and discourse are always associated with power relations in the one premise that all cultural studies or practitioners agree on. Power relations, whether driven by economics, politics or social discrimination, are said to be determined, and who is not, who speaks and who is silent, which issues are important and which ones are not. Power is related to dominance and or superiority of ideology, and another central concept in cultural studies, ideology, is a conceptual framework that concludes a set of beliefs, values, attitudes and behaviors, as well as ways of perceiving and thinking that are agreed on the point that they constitute to a set of norms for a society that dictate what is desirable and what should be done. Ideology contains concepts about what the society in which it exists is actually like. It states or denies, for example, and there are classes and that certain conditions are desirable or more desirable than others. An ideology is also a form of consent to a particular kind of social order and conformity to the rules within specific set of social, economic and political structures. It often assigns roles of dominance or subordination to gender, race, sexuality, religion, age and social groups. Another related term that is important is hegemony, defined as the power of dominance that one group holds over another. Antonio Gramsci, an Italian political theorist in the 1920s, whose work was primarily written while he was in prison and was translated into English in the 1970s, said that hegemony is forceful but not automatic persuasion emanating from the dominant controllers of culture to the less powerful masses of society. Consent rather than coercion persuades the marginalized people to accept the status quo. Cultural hegemony occurs when a strand of meanings tends to dominate, producing, maintaining and reproducing automatic sets of meanings and practices. In other words, there is a power to shape the ways what they would seem to mean. You Yet people have power also to struggle again and change ideology and to alter hegemony. The early work in British cultural studies was a critique of contemporary society, critiques of ideological domination and the political power that tended to show how hegemony or the dominant ideology reproduced itself invisibly and inevitably. The media seemed to position viewers within images and discourses as subjects living and thinking under specific conditions of domination by authority. Williams explained, however, that although those who were assimilated into the dominant ideology do think if they do not speak, it may be because we have taken their speech away from them, deprived them of the means of enunciation, not because they have nothing to say. Hall recognized that the audience is not passive, rather they are active consumers who decode images and make their own meanings. This was a turning point in cultural studies, bringing the recognition that images and discourses did not have a simple meaning, but they are open texts capable of being interpreted in different ways by people. Thus the term polysemy, a multiplicity of meaning. Polysemy and articulation. Working within the framework of Gramsci's concept of hegemony, Hall developed a theory of articulation in order to explain how receivers used a produced message and derived meaning from it. The word articulation is commonly defined as some kind of joining of parts to make a unity, including dentistry and medical procedures. Common use of articulation in speech suggests the clinging together of sounds. Hall said that articulation is the form of connection that can make a unity of two different elements under certain conditions. It is a linkage which is not necessary, determined, absolute and essential for all time. We have to ask, under what circumstances can connection be forged or made? The unity which matters is a linkage between the articulated discourse and the social forces with which it can, under certain historical conditions, but need not necessarily be connected. The theory is called articulation because meaning has to be expressed and joined to a context of some kind. An image, for example, is produced within a specific context, a specific time in history and in a medium, for example, a television program, a magazine, cartoon, film or a computer site. Hall offered the metaphor of a trailer truck to help explain the theory. The front, cab and back trailer can but need not necessarily be connected to one another. The two parts are connected to each other, but through a specific linkage that can be broken. He said that theory of articulation enables us to think how an ideology empowers people, enabling them to make some sense of intelligibility of their historical situation without reducing those forms of intelligibility to their socio-economic or class location or social position. Thus, articulation suggests the expression of representation of an image, a reception and a link to other cultural domains. In an interview at the University of Massachusetts in 1989, Hall said that articulation is an understanding of the circuits of capital as an articulation of the movements of production within the movements of consumption within the movements of reproduction. Production, consumption, realization, reproduction, the expanding circuit. You have to know analytically why consumption and production are different in order to talk about how they are articulating. Later in the interviews, Hall clarified that although there is a continuous process of signification of the cultural or ideological world, his encoding and decoding model is about the specific practice of making and responding to television programs or literary text or bureaucratic paper or any other kind of recodification. A specific practice may have the specific ideology that opposes the dominant cultural ideology that exists in the world. In other words, Hall said that he takes the cultural ideological world as something which always exists, and within that world he analyzes what is specific about the activity of a certain practice and response. This process is not the same as deconstruction, which Hall feels has been made into a kind of intellectual playground. Every movement of deconstruction to Hall is also a movement of reconstruction, the producing of a new meaning. Hall's encoding and decoding model. Hall's theory of encoding decoding is thus based on the promise that there is a correlation between a person's social situation, meanings that person decodes from an encoded image or discourse. There is no single meaning for a message. If the decoded meaning is the same as the encoded meaning, then there would be a perfect hegemony. However, if the image discourse is representative of the dominant ideology and the viewer's social situation is not, then there is a tension resulting in a negotiation between the viewer and the image discourse. In other words, In other words, the viewer does not necessarily passively accept the dominant meaning unless it is preferred by the viewer. The choice of the word preferred is deliberate because it indicates that the viewer has some power in interpreting meaning. Yes, it is important also to remember that the viewer's decoding takes place within the encoding process. Initially, Hall's model had three social positions: dominant, oppositional and negotiated, although Hall speculated that there could be other positions. The dominant position is accepted when the viewer accepts the dominant or intended meaning, whereas the oppositional position is indirect opposition to the dominant meaning of an acceptance of an opposite point of view. The negotiated position is completely open category for viewers who primarily fit into the dominant ideology, but need to resist certain elements of it. Negotiated positions are popular with various social groups who question relationship with the dominant ideology. Negotiated meanings are what most people get out of the messages most of the time. Cultural studies analysts may examine audience decoding through ethnographic methods using in-depth interviews, often over time, to determine how people actively make sense of media, images and discourse, social experience and themselves. Cultural studies analysts also work in a manner similar to literary critics, but the texts they examine are media discourse and visual images. In the latter instance, the critic attempts to make a sense of a meaning from personal experience or attempt to discern multiple meanings as a result of analysis. Television images are complex because they are based on visual representation. Television images are mediated images, three-dimensional places, people and objects viewed on a two-dimensional plane, not life-size, and produced by technical means controlled by cameras, camera angles and movements, directing, lighting, computer manipulation and editing. As images, they are representations that are commonly considered to be production attempts to duplicate, although they are not duplications because they have been constructed to represent or imitate the real. The real is a thing in the world in its own right. Representation is a construction that tries recognizable as the real. It is a substitute as an imitation that attempts to evoke a response as if to the real thing. A representation is thus a constructed artificial character of forms of life in contrast to the organic biological connotations of culture. Of course, a representation can also be a symbol, something that stands for something else. Understanding of symbols requires learning the connection between symbols and what they stand for. There need not be any verisimilitude between a symbolic image and what the image is about. The heart-shaped symbol tends to stand for love in our culture, but a connection had to be learned between the image and its meaning in a culture where the heart-shaped symbol has no known meaning. It is unlikely to get a response, or it may get a different response. On the other hand, anatomical drawing of a human heart should be a representation of a real human heart to anyone anywhere in the world who has adequate knowledge of human anatomy. Reception studies. Reception studies focused on the domestic context of television reception within a household and television viewing habits tracked over time in order to examine the social uses of television, that is, how television is used within different families and how television material is interpreted by its audience. David Morley, the most cited researcher in this area, was critical of the ways in which cultural studies analysts exclusively engaged with question of representations at the level of the media text in order to provide empirical data about how audiences made meaning. He interviewed in depth the members of the families of the United Kingdom from different social backgrounds. He theorized that talk about television would sustain the viewer's involvement and identification with what was on screen as well as maintain the family's interaction with one another. He found that part of the pleasure that people gained from television was incorporation into their everyday domestic life. The difficulties that Morley faced in trying to correlate social classes with types of decoding indicated that the viewer interpretation is quite complicated and difficult to determine. However, he found that television viewing practices significantly correlated with the gender. Men, both fathers and sons, had control over program choice, planned their television watching by selecting programs ahead of time from the television schedule, preferred news, current affairs, documentaries and comedy shows, were more attentive when they watched television for greater amounts of time. Women, mothers and daughters enjoyed watching drama, especially VPs alone preferred fiction television, disliked comedy and were much more willing to talk to friends, co-workers about what they watched in television. Other reception studies have raised issues about how people understand fictional stories about romance and how television promotes discourse in the home. These studies were considered to be on the fringe of cultural studies and have since become an independent theoretical and methodological area of study. A methodology for cultural studies in visual communication. The following are questions to be asked in doing a cultural study analysis in visual communication. Although one would concentrate on images in visual communication, it is also useful to pay heed to discourse in film and television. I have used the term work to represent the object of our criticism, whether it is painting or a cartoon or a computer graphic or a poster, a film, a television program or something else. Many cultural studies analysts have affection for localized critics and situated analysis. The theories represented in this lesson have given us guidelines for completing a cultural studies analysis that incorporates the specific institutional formation and at the same time keeps us from being merely reactive. How does a work relate to the shared living condition of the time? What is present and what is absent? How are we limited in our ways of seeing? Can we place ourselves inside the image, identifying with it? What do we of the image if we identify ourselves in relationship to the image? How does the work position the viewer as a subject? When the work hails you, do you answer? What meanings are preferred by the work? In other words, what is the dominant ideology, hegemony that is embedded in the work? Examine the codes of the work. What are the realistic, representative and ideological codes? How is the work encoded in social codes such as appearance, behavior, speech, sound and setting? How do the technical codes, camera use, lighting, editing, sound and music, conventional representations of codes, narrative, conflict, character, dialogue, setting and casting? How do the representative codes work together to encode a preferred meaning that supports an ideology? What is the ideology? What meanings can different viewers make of the work? What is the dominant meaning? What meanings are possible from negotiation? What meanings might be resisted or opposed? How might the decoded meanings give a viewer a sense of power? How might they provide pleasure? How is this related to the viewer's sense of identity? How does the work help the subject make sense of social experience? In what ways does the work seem natural, that is accepted as real? How is the naturalness articulated? What is at stake in the representation? How do the meanings that we derive implicate us in the production of the meanings? What meanings does a work have when it is absorbed into the lives of viewers? Might they take on new meanings, new identities, new knowledge? These questions will enable the viewer to play a work as if it were a piece of music, interpreting it, activating it, giving it a living presence. They will also enable you to go into the work to understand the cultural implications in it. Cultural studies analyzes allow us to reflect on the ideas and contradictions of our culture, to examine issues of power in and among groups of people and to realize how very complex responses to images are. Cultural studies develops a critic that is concerned with making meanings about the roles and practices of different people and the way that culture interacts with their lives. Culture is the actual practice, customs and languages, beliefs, forms of representation and system of formal and informal rules that tell people how to behave most of the time. Culture is about the production and exchange of meanings between and among the members of society. Cultural studies analysis is interdisciplinary and has methodological fluidity. In this lesson, I tried to focus on the cultural studies methods that focus on meanings that various people make from representation, especially in images. Cultural studies has a demystifying role in our attempts to discern what attitudes, beliefs, values, preferred forms of conduct and ideologies are embedded and reinforced in images and supporting discourse. A representation can have multiple meanings, polysemy, that are dependent on the viewers who make the meaning by the process of decoding. Viewers may accept the dominant meaning, negotiate a meaning, or resist and oppose a meaning. Representations give viewers pleasure in viewing them. Pleasure is also derived from validating one's social identity by accepting the dominant meaning or by negotiating a meaning on one's own terms, or by resisting the dominant meaning and maintaining one's own special identity by opposing it. A cultural studies analyst values what all members of a culture have to say in their own voices and images. One asks about the process through which the voices and images have been formed and the conditions under which they are seen and heard. One also asks about the inclusions and exclusions of hierarchies, power relations and the ways in which they interact with our lives.